All right, hey there, everybody. This is Zach from TAG. Today, we are going to talk about how to find, attract, and create a top performing intern. So, this is a program that we've refined over the years. We've had a lot of success with bringing on interns, and what we wanted to do is compile all the things that we've learned over the years into a simple webinar that basically captures a lot of the key facets. In this webinar, we're going to talk about what our experiences have been, what have been some of the benefits we've been able to enjoy since we got this program down. We'll talk a little bit about how other members have harnessed these benefits as well. Then we'll spend some time talking about what are the four main pillars that really make an intern program work well. And I'll share a bunch of stories, and then we'll finish up with a checklist of things that you can actually do right away, action items that you can immediately put to use, and you can take away from this presentation, and you can start building your own successful intern program right away. So let's go ahead and get started on how to find, attract, and create a top performing intern. So one of the reasons that you're going to want to do this is basically because it enhances productivity across the entire company. So as key players, whether we're on the management team or we are ownership in an organization, basically we want to start bringing on interns because interns, they can benefit from working with us because they're going to learn a tremendous amount. They're going to get real world experience. They're going to be able to get access to mentorship through working with your team as well as you directly. Also, from our perspective, we're going to benefit quite a bit. One of the things that we noticed since we started bringing in interns is that a lot of the key players in the company basically just spend a lot more time focused on their A priorities. So at TAG, we talk about ABC priorities, A priorities being the things that are absolutely most important. And if we don't get those done, there are big consequences. Then there are B priorities, which are things that we all know we should do. And we need to get to them, and there are minor consequences if we don't take care of that. C priorities are these ideas we think about doing, some time off in the future, but there's not really any consequence. So once you start bringing in interns, you're going to be able to spend a lot more time focused on your A priorities, and those B priorities, those projects that you've had on the docket for a long time, those are going to start happening. These are some of the best things for you to basically delegate and empower your interns to start working on. These are things like getting the TAG advertising and lead gen system up and running, starting to get them going on appointment setting, whole bunch of new stuff. Another big benefit that you get from working with interns, especially ones that are in the business school, is the business school is pooling all of their resources, all of the investment coming into the school, and basically doing everything they can to be on the leading edge of what is actually working in business. So if you work with interns, they're basically learning all these different techniques and different models and frameworks and things like that you might be able to benefit from. So if we get access to the new ideas from the business school, that's another way we can benefit. So at TAG, we've replicated this several times over. Here's a number of the different interns that you've seen. A couple people have actually gone on to become our next superstars over at VoiceSmart. And yeah, we basically figured this out and kind of got it down to a science at this point. So some of the results, the other results that we've been able to enjoy, some of those B priorities actually starting to happen as we started getting our telemarketing actually going, started having calls going into our customer base instead of having that gold mine just sit there. We got to update all of our databases, so our sales team or whoever the salesperson is in your organization basically has a highly qualified list to start going through, start getting the creation of documents and start systematizing the business so it becomes more systematic. And basically, we basically have a stronger business. We got front-end packages actually going out, all kinds of results that you're going to start enjoying once you get this intern program up and going. So first question is, well, how do we find and attract those interns into our organization? So first thing we can do is get involved at local universities. We can post ads in career services. There's always plenty of guest speaking opportunities. I mean, I remember when I was going through school, a lot of our college professors were very, very hungry to get actual business professionals that have actually been in the world, actually have real world experience, and were willing to donate their time and give back to the community by coming into the classroom and speaking about what the truth of their experience has been. This is something that a lot of college students, they're trying to figure out, where do they want to go in life? And with all the experience that you have, you actually have quite a lot to offer to them. So you can do that. You can start getting involved in student professional groups. You can ask professors to give you your best student. And a lot of students now, they have required internship classes where they get school credit. So you can actually, everybody can benefit from interns. So one of the first things that you can do is you can share the job description that we have in the tag library, which I'll show you a little bit later in the presentation, but we basically have the intern job description already written for you. So all you have to do is just edit it. It's probably 80–90% of the way there. And then you can have something that you can go to career services with and start attracting some interns. Another thing that I want to bring up is it's super important to make sure that when we go into this idea of hiring interns, we don't want to leave it in that paradigm where we're just thinking, this is going to be someone that we're going to bring on to do a bunch of clerical or administrative work. But we want to start thinking, and one of the reasons our intern program has been so successful is because we start off thinking, okay, how can we take this person and mold them into one of our future superstars? Ryan Mulvaney, he started off at TAG, then shifted into VoiceSmart, started doing sales. Now it looks like he's getting very close to the point where he's going to be director of sales at VoiceSmart Networks. So he's basically on that trajectory, and he started off as an intern. So we got to think in terms of what their potential is, because that'll change the way that we work with them. Another thing that's really beneficial about attracting interns through this mindset is basically in the same way that we like getting referred into different customers. The best interns that we're going to find, they all hang out together, and referrals is obviously the best way to generate high quality interns. I was one of the first interns for TAG. Guess who introduced Dale Stein to Ryan, as well as some of the other interns that you saw in the previous picture. So some things that you can think about as like actual specific things that can go on the job description. They can do things like support this sales motion tracking form with the 7-step selling process. They can process front-end packages and proposal book requests, conduct database research and develop prospecting lists for the sales team. They can research they can research the prospect website and prepare information for the sales team. They can prepare and distribute assigned sales department reports, manage email marketing campaigns, go to the weekly sales meetings, get engaged in sales and product training, start doing appointment setting. They can start participating in meetings with prospects and customers. There's plenty of things for them to do. You're never going to run out of things for them to do, especially when you have a network like TAG at your disposal. And you basically have a lot of the best practices distilled in here. Now, instead of spending too much time focused on the detail, what I want to give right now are what we call the 4 commandments for managing interns. So this is how you take someone who is just an intern and you start molding them into your future superstar. And if you follow these commandments, you're going to have a very, very very beneficial experience for everyone involved. So one of the first things that we do with interns when they come in is we connect their goals to our goals. We accomplish that through a life business plan, which is a document we get when they first come in, where we basically say, hey, we want to support you in basically achieving all the goals that you have in your life. So every single moment you spend working here, we want to make it somehow helping you with whatever it is that you want. So what we do is we have them sit down and write down what are their goals and their professional goals, what are some of their personal goals, what are some of their fitness goals, what are some of their knowledge goals, what are some of their vacation goals or financial goals or whatever goals that they have, in all the different areas of their life, have them actually sit down and think about where they want to be. Now, what this does is it accomplishes a whole lot. First of all, they go, wow, I'm working for a company that not only, is willing to pay me like a competitive rate and I'm going to learn a ton about business. They go, wow, this company is actually investing in me. An example of this was, I had one of my goals is I wanted to be a really good public speaker. So, and the reason that I wanted to do that, and I wanted to do that in quite a hurry, was I was going to be the best man for my buddy at his wedding. I had to give a toast. So I had a whole lot of motivation to get really, really good. So I shared that with everyone at TAG, and I said, okay, this is a big goal of mine. And then Dale Stein, he said, okay, I want you to sign up for Toastmasters. And then he was willing to pay me to go to Toastmasters for an hour or two a week. And I'd probably take off at 4:00 so that I could go to that for another 2 hours. But I started going to that, and then I started developing my speaking capabilities. Now, when TAG invested in me so that I could start getting better at public speaking, guess what TAG also got to benefit from? That enhanced skill set. I started being able to do webinars, started feeling a lot more comfortable talking on the phone with TAG members. We even did some prospecting for new TAG members. The whole point was, once they knew what all my goals were, they could basically connect everything that they wanted to accomplish as a company to what I wanted to accomplish personally, which made me way more motivated than any other job I've ever had before. So this is the first step. Take the time to start doing this. It's good if you do it the first time or two, but eventually, as I saw the benefits of this, I started doing this with new interns when they came in. I would sit down with them and help them work on their life business plan. And we have examples of that in the TAG library on the website. I'll show you that in a little bit. So the next commandment of making sure an intern is going to work for you is you need to build a relationship with your intern. So if you go into this arrangement thinking, okay, I'm their boss, they're just another employee, you're going to get those kinds of results. What we want to shoot for is mentorship. There's a lot of millennials that have grown up with tons and tons of stress around having role models that they can look up to and count on. And whether you realize it or not, you have a tremendous amount of wisdom that you can offer to them. And if you start spending time building a relationship with them so that they start considering you to be a mentor rather than just a boss, they're going to work way harder, they're going to care way more, and they're basically going to just outperform everyone else. So how do you actually do this? It could be some things as simple as, I remember, not every, but maybe once a month on Fridays, I would kind of, towards the end of the day, if I was kind of done with everything, I would walk over to Dale Stein's office and I would sit down and just kind of talk to him about life. And we wouldn't talk specifically about business things. We would just kind of talk about life. I'd say, hey, I've kind of got this thing on my mind. And he was so willing to spend the time talking with me about that, about whatever those kinds of things were, that I felt so invested in that it made me want to deliver bigger and better results, because I saw that, Dale wasn't just looking at me as, okay, this is an employee I need to get the most productivity out of. He said, this is a human being that I want to teach, that I want to lead, that I want to help him grow. And that meant way more to me than, making $1 more an hour than my friends or anything like that. It's that was such a key pillar. And, we've done that over and over and over again with all different interns. So you want to start thinking, how can we build a relationship with our intern? You can do this by actually going to social activities with them or going to other events. And anyway, so that's the next commandment. The third one is to put their imagination to work. Millennials grew up with computers and technology and iPhones and everything imbued into who they are. This is even more true with iGen. So what we want to do is they're extremely talented, they're extremely creative. So let's put their imagination to work. Even if 8 out of 10 ideas are things that you've already tried, you've already done, or they're just not the best ideas and they're just not going to work, 2 out of every 10, they'll be really, really important. An example of this was the tag advertising lead gen program. That was something that Brian Seward, he basically, I remember I finished up with everything I needed to do by like 2:30 or 3 o'clock or something towards the end of the day. And then I felt enough freedom and I felt valued enough where they actually wanted to see what were my creative contributions. So then I spent time and I said, one thing that we do with all of our members is we talk to them and we offer them tons of marketing services. But a lot of times when I talk to them and I ask them, why haven't you used any of our marketing services? They say, oh, I'm just too busy. And that's where I got the idea. Okay, let's start building a marketing program that takes maybe 15 minutes of their time, if that, and then we can automate their marketing for a year. So then, since I had enough free time and I knew my creative contributions would be valued, I just put together one advertisement, sent it to Brian, and Brian saw the potential in that. And even though that was probably the most poorly designed ad I'd ever done, he saw the potential in that, and he nurtured that, and he wanted to put my imagination to work. So he said, can you come up with another one? So I did, and then another one, and another one, and another one. And then, years later, we have the creative marketing program that is the tag lead gen and advertising program, which has generated hundreds of thousands of dollars for tag members, all born from that ability for Brian Seward to see my creativity and be willing to put that to work. Number 4 is for interns, work-life balance is way more important to them than simply money. An example of this was, I remember it came time, I'd been working at Tag for a couple of years, and it came time for my annual review. I got into the review, they said, Zach, you've been doing great. We really appreciate everything you're doing. We actually want to give you a raise. And I felt really complimented by that, but I said, how about this? How about you guys keep the raise? You don't have to pay me any more, but 1 day a week, I'd like to be able to work remotely. And then they're a little confused, and they were like, oh, okay, or why would you want to do that? And I said, well, because then I don't have to drive 45 minutes at the beginning of the day, 45 minutes back at the end of the day, spend a bunch of money on gas. At the time I lived in San Diego, like a couple blocks from the beach. So then what I could do is, as soon as I finished work at the end of the day, instead of having to wait almost an hour to get home and missing sunset, I could just grab my surfboard, go jump in the water, and then I could go surfing. For me, that was worth so much more than being able to make a little bit more money. So with millennials and iGen, work-life balance, it's just a value. It's just something that they value a lot more than some of the other generations in the workplace. So this is a way where you can start finding creative ways to reward them, which don't necessarily require you to just simply pay more. You'll find out a lot of this, what their goals are, if you spend time working through their life business plan, as we talked about in the first commandment. But we want to just basically support this whole idea that work-life balance is way more important to them than money. So if you want to find out more about what values intrinsically motivate millennials, if you're having any trouble or dissension amongst the ranks, where you're having the different value sets from different generations in the workplace, and you want to understand why millennials or iGen are the way that they are, please attend our class, How to Manage 20-somethings. It's another webinar, and you can find that on the event calendar. Now, how do you pay them? So while they're in school, we recommend that you do flexible hours. This way, you can kind of have a trial basis with them where you can kind of see, is this going to be a fit? Do they match with the culture? Are they a 20? Are they going to fit with everything that we've built? We also recommend that you pay them $12 to $14 an hour. I remember when I first met Dale Stein, he went to San Diego State, and then he offered to guest speak in one of the classrooms. And when he spoke, he just talked about life. He just talked about all kinds of things. And I really connected with his message at the time. He finished up his speech. He walked out of the class, said, "Thank you so much for attending." And then I just thought to myself, I have to meet him. So I jumped up out of my seat, ran out of the classroom, chased him down the hallway, shook his hand, and said, "Dale, I want to pick your brain some more. Could we get coffee sometime?" A couple of coffee meetings later, and then we started. Then he offered me the opportunity to work with TAG. Now, at that coffee meeting, I told him, "Dale, I work for you for free. I just think I can learn a lot from you." And he said, "You know what? I actually don't believe in that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pay you." And at the time, he was willing to pay me $14 an hour. And most of my friends were getting like $8, $9, $10 an hour. So I was making way more than my friends in comparison. So what I started doing is I felt like, wow, okay, I'm getting paid more than my friends. That must be because Dale sees something in me, and he sees potential, he sees talent, and he's willing to invest in that, and he's willing to respect me that much, even though he could have got me to work for him for free. But since he did that, then it created this expectation, this belief that I needed to rise to the occasion, which is why I was trying to think of how can we solve all the problems about the company. And I started saying, well, if TAG were my company, how would I start solving some of the problems? And that led to things like the TAG advertising lead gen system, which in turn generated hundreds of thousands of dollars for members. This also gets them to brag about their awesome new internship to their friends. So guess what they're doing for you? They're marketing your company to to their inner circle of other 20s. So like I said earlier, the best way to keep them motivated is to be a mentor and you give them meaningful work. If you do the life business plan and you start paying attention to those other 4 commandments that we talked about, this is going to happen naturally. Another thing you can do is make sure you're investing in them personally. I remember when I graduated from San Diego State, they were giving out all the tickets for the graduation ceremony, and you get like a limited number so you can give to your family if anyone wants to come. And Dale and Bernie asked, they asked me, Zach, do you have any extra tickets? We'd love to come see you graduate. And they ended up coming to the graduation ceremony. They got to come to the graduation party at our house. They met my family, met a bunch of my friends. And it was just this thing where I was like, wow, this is so much different than a job. I'm getting a mentor. I'm getting someone that cares about my growth. And this, once again, provided plenty of motivation. Another thing that you can do while they're still in school is you can do the mentor marketing campaign. So as a business student, you're so curious about the world of business, and you have this unfair advantage when it comes to talking to people. You basically can go, hey, Mr. Successful Business Person, in our local, in our market, say, hey, I'm studying entrepreneurship, or one day I want to own my own business, or I'm really passionate about business, and I want to talk. I would love to interview you and just pick your brain and understand like what your journey has been like. And what they could do is they can send that out to every CEO they find. We found like lists of the top 50 fastest growing companies in our market, and then we'd go out and then we'd have the interns basically set meetings with them and then go and just learn their story. And this starts building a relationship with them. So now the student is going, oh my gosh, not only do I get to work for a mentor, my mentor is helping me grow more than anyone else because they're putting me in front of all these other CEOs that have gone through the whole experience. And I'm learning so much. This is such a cool job. I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. what it's going to do for them is they're going to get the best education they've ever gotten. They're going to be thrilled to be working with you, as well as they're going to start building a network. So, because when they're doing this and they're still in college, they're basically, wow, this really ambitious student that is trying to meet the real world. And mentors will look at them like, wow, that's really cool that they're doing this. This kid's going to be successful. Maybe I should, keep a relationship with them. Versus if they do this after they're out of school, then they're just someone that's unemployed, and it doesn't have that same connotation to it. So you get to take advantage of this, because as their network grows and flourishes, guess what happens in a couple down the line after they start building their network? They're going to start asking your interns, so what are you doing now? And if you do a good job cultivating them, then naturally things may lead into more sales and more opportunities. And then they're going to have this whole relationship where they're basically bringing their other cherished mentors, and they're being able to harness all the benefits that your company offers to help them. And then you get to benefit from the increase in business. They get to build a relationship. Now, one of the fears that sometimes comes up is, oh, well, aren't other people going to hire them away from me? Think of how rare that is for a company to invest in their employees' growth, so much so that they're willing for them to go and sit down and talk with other CEOs and learn from their real life experiences. That's a pretty cool thing. That's going to be the best learning they could ever get. And another thing that you can also do is ask them to apply what they're learning in school in real life. They're learning all these frameworks. They're studying all these books. Ask them to put the stuff to the test. Maybe there's some way that something that they're learning in college can actually help the business, and ask them to be creative and think about ways to basically get them to help contribute. Another thing that you want to do is make sure that you're doing team meetings and you're giving them individual reports. They really enjoy that one-on-one time. Here's the ramp up process. So one of the easiest ways that you can bring them up to speed is you don't have to spend all this time with them speaking the language. Just send them to us and we'll basically run them through a bunch of different webinars. So ones we recommend are 1, the goal setting workshop, 2, attributes of successful people, 3 is how to hold efficient meetings, 4 is 9 steps to managing 20-somethings, 5 is bird dogs, 6 is leveraging DISC, and then 7 is going back into the base. Have them listen to these, they're going to start understanding the language, and they're going to start naturally integrating into everything that you're doing. Next things that you want to do, like I mentioned earlier, have them write their life business plan, do that part-time trial period while they're still in school so that they can figure out if it's going to work, you can figure out if it's going to work. They'll be really grateful that you're working with their complicated schedule, and then make sure you have them take the DISC test. We recommend you do that before you can get started. We have a number of resources available for you. Let me see if I can pop open the job description in the library. So you just go over here to tag, dashboard. Give it a second. Highline. All right. Go to tag library, the human resources, and you go to management. And then you have sales executive, inside sales executive. You have, where is the intern one? Sales and marketing intern document. And then here you go. Here's the job description. Already set up. All you have to do is just fill in the details with whatever you want to say. So there's that. So there's the job description in the library. Bring in Larry Chupp and use his assistance in the interviewing process. I mean, he's kind of a master, and he can, I don't know how many times we've had him run people through the whole interview process, and then he can predict things to a T. He really is a master at what he does. He's pretty expert at the DISC profile and all the achievement tech and all the different personality and profiling that we do. Make sure that you use him. We also have the sample life business plan. We have Ryan's in the TAG library, and then get them going to the TAG webinars. Let's see if I can find Ryan's life business plan for you. It's probably here in Sales General. Sales, life business plan. There you go. Okay, so this one's Greg's. So yeah, so then this is basically all of their goals. Physically and mentally fit, goals for the next 90 days, daily, weekly tasks, everything. So that's where you can find some of the resources that we have. Make sure that you're using it. Yeah. 6 action steps to get started. First thing you can do is go to Career Services and meet with them, let them know what you're trying to do. They're going to be thrilled that you're there. And basically you can take that, that job description, you can post it right away. They usually have an internal, students only portal where they post internships, where you can get better access to the students than just posting something on Craigslist. So make sure you post the job description. That's the second action step you can take. Next thing you can do is you can sign up for career fair, entrepreneur day events, all these different things. A lot of the big companies come and set up booths, and they have all this material. It doesn't have to be that complicated. We've had times where Dale went to one of these things. He just pulled up 2 chairs, and they put a little piece of paper there with one empty chair, him sitting in the other, and it said free advice. And they would sit down and just start giving people advice. And, it definitely generated significant interest. But at these events, that's where you're going to find a lot of the 20s, just by the virtue that they're there. They're trying, they're putting out the effort, and they're starting to see themselves as 20s. It's a really good place for you to start going and recruiting. Another place where you'll find 20s is at the entrepreneur or professional business societies in person. It's a great time for you to go guest speak. Sometimes you can attend. If you talk to Career Services and you ask about what are some of the entrepreneurial or professional business societies, then they can connect you with some of the managers there. Then you can basically go to the meetings. You can be on panels. You can do anything like that. When Dale found me in college, I was a member of the Entrepreneur Society. Every once in a while, I was going to the Real Estate and Investment Society. I was doing like a stock trading thing. I was in all those different groups, and I was trying to meet real world business professionals. So they're a really, really good place. It's where all the 20s hang out, and you'll find a ton of people there. Another way is offer to guest lecture for business professors. And both in my case, in Ryan's case, and in several of our other interns' case, what we did was it was that exact same story. You do your speech based on whatever it is that you want to contribute and give back to the community. And then at the end, don't ask for interns. Let them come to you. The 20s will self-select, and they'll naturally approach you most of the time. So instead of saying, okay, and we're also offering internships here, email us here, and blah, 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 blah. What you want to do is just go there, do your thing. The 20s will self-select, and they'll kind of come to you. You can also ask teachers who are your top 2 students, and they'll let you know exactly who it is because they spend time with them every single day. Last thing you can do is you can call the dean of the business school and you say, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. What's the best way to do that? And they will have plenty of ideas for you. So if you have any questions as you're going through this process, remember, you're not alone. You don't have to figure it out all by yourself. We have gone through all the mistakes time after time after time. So you can leverage the expertise of TAG and the whole network that you're a part of. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us and let us know how it's going. Make sure you're taking advantage of all the resources you have available to you. And until next time, we'll talk to you soon. All right, thanks so much.